Hello, friends. Welcome back to Sunglasses After Dark. I'm your host, Lauren Tombtone. In this episode, we will be taking an, how shall I say, engineered look at the legendary cult classic film Tetsuo The Iron Man, as well as having a Zoom sit down with industrial one-man powerhouse Ascension. Stick around, friends. This one is going to be good. All right, friends, are you ready to take a look at the legendary 1989 cult classic Tetsuo the Iron Man, directed by Shinya Tsukamoto and starring Tomoro Taguchi and Tsukamoto himself, with an intense and fabulous score by Chu Ishikawa? This film is not for the timid and definitely for the curious. Are you ready, friends? Alright, friends. One of the most core elements of this film is the very controversial subject matter of transhumanism. The desire to continue to reach beyond what mere biology and nature has given each of us, albeit some with intent and some by accident. Within the core element of transhumanism, the real driving force is biology versus the man-made. Which is truly more natural? Which is truly more akin to us as humans and our actual human nature? It is a question that once one begins to delve into it, well, it can really take hold of the mind and the body. One of the other more controversial and, how shall I say, unsettling at times elements in this film is the crushing sexual repression experienced by both main characters in this film, and how that repression inevitably leads to a violent but loving relationship. The sexual repression experienced by these characters is different, but drives them both in much the same way, as you will see. And finally, the most revealing and disturbing element in this film is murder and accountability, mixed with the other themes. This leads to, how shall I say, one of the most visceral, at times comical, and surreal expressions and explorations of this theme that I think, well, any film has ever dared to try to do. Alright, friends, I do hope you've enjoyed this engineered and unusual exploration on Tetsuo the Iron Man. Please stick around as our sit-down via Zoom with industrial one-man powerhouse Ascension is up next, right here on Sunglasses After Dark, with me, Lauren Tombtone. All right, friends, welcome back to Sunglasses After Dark. I am so pleased to be sitting down here today virtually with this awesome human known as Ascension, also Ryan. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me, Lauren Tombtone, here on Sunglasses After Dark. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I am absolutely fantastic. I'm enthralled to be here. I love that you've reached out. We've made a professional connection. We've made a friendship connection. And for us to um, engage with music and questions and learn more about each other, and to be able to share these with your audience really, really warms my heart. So thank you very, very much.
No, thank you. All right. Well, my first question would be how long, like, how did you start? When did you start playing music?
I have been playing music for a long time. I'm 45 now, and I started in middle school band at about 12 years old, and I thought I was going to play the trumpet. My best friend played the trumpet, and I was like, "Oh, I'll do that as well." And I never ended up getting a trumpet. But while I was sitting in band class, I kept looking over at the percussionists, at the drummers, and I was like, you know what? I think that maybe a little bit more towards my speed. And so I joined the percussion, and I got drum lessons growing up, pretty much all throughout high school. And I
Very.
continued, yeah, I continued with drums, percussion, drum line, and all throughout high school, I had some instruction as far as learning how to play the guitar from my dad. And, I got a drum set when I was about, I think, 13, 14 years old. And um, I realized that I couldn't play the drums at 10 o'clock at night. Um, Fortunately, I grew up out in the country. And so, having a drum
Oh,
set,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Having a drum set out in the country was really, really nice. So I was able to, like, bang on my drums after school and not really, affect the neighbors too much. But, like I said, not being able to play the drums at 10 o'clock at night, I was like, I need something to do. And so, with the help of my dad learning some chords, um, I started playing, guitar a lot. And like my biggest virtual teachers, was Dave Grohl on the drums. He drummed for Nirvana, so I was, playing to, like grunge and stuff like that
Right.
growing up. And I think, my favorite, stuff to play on guitar was, like learning Ministry's Filth Pig album. And
Ooh, interesting choice. I have to say, wow,
I know, I had a
it's a great
friend.
album.
It's my favorite Ministry album, and I know people are, love Psalm 69, love The Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste, but Filth Pig to me was just like that grindy, slow droniness, and um, I really loved that, and so
It's
uh,
definitely a standout for me as well.
yeah. Absolutely. And I know that it is such a dramatic departure from, with sympathy and, some of the other things. But to me, that was kind of just this beautiful, like incorporated sound of, some samples, heavy guitar, the droniness. And yeah, it just really stuck with me. And so yeah, so drums, guitar, and then like I've got keyboards in front of me, synthesizers, and I've never had formal piano lessons or things like that. And so, my keyboard, my piano playing has always been just I'm gonna doodle around, and it's one thing in my life that I'm like, go take some piano lessons. And so I know that that's definitely on my list of things to do. Um,
I don't know, man. I think you're doing just fine.
thank you.
And so
Yeah,
I would let me I to maybe fast forward it. So you have
yeah,
this foundation
yes,
that comes from some formal background. I mean,
yeah,
granted, like you said, you didn't get into you were on the percussive end of things, but you
yes.
were still in, you had some formal music introduction surrounding you, working with other people, learning music, the components, and especially that rhythmic aspect. And I think that's something, you know, I'll fast forward. How much of that, I'm assuming a certain amount of it, because the percussion, that's, I think that's one of the elements, just fast forwarding into Ascension. So we were there. When did Ascension come around? And I just like to say that, in my opinion, like that's one of the things that sets Ascension's music immediately aside, are is the not just the overall intensity of it, but the percussive intensity and the percussive tonalities. That much being said, please take it away.
Okay. Yes, the percussion, my formal training with percussion, playing the drum set, having drum lessons is and was and will continue to be a massive, huge influence, impact on how I write my music. And when I go through and I write my tracks, I imagine myself sitting at a drum kit. I imagine someone else sitting at a drum kit. Um, because when you go see, or when you see a live band, it's like you watch the guitars for a little bit, but like it's like, ooh, the drummer, what's the drummer doing? And so I always imagine like, okay, can a live drummer play this music? Is this capable? And that's to me, the biggest impact that I've tried to, to translate is that realistic aspect of it. Can you imagine like like I said, a live drummer doing this? And I think I might need some more direction with your question. So, but yeah, so like the drums are a huge thing as far as like the tonality and like literally the driving force of this project. And I think that question was two-parted.
Well, I think you answered it pretty well there. What I'll say within that then, so you have that's another thing I think reinforces the atmosphere that I feel you create with Ascension. And what I would like to ask, because at first glance, or at first listen, we'll say the music is dark and intense. It's industrial. We might use these terms, but there's a brightness in it. Obviously, within the name itself,
Yeah.
there's a movement towards something. What is the driving theme? If there is one way of describing that, that is, if you were to describe what is the core, the heart of Ascension.
That is a very, very beautiful observation. And I think, and I know my music is literally a direct representation of who I am. And we've all been through something. We've been through something that has impacted us, and it's hardened us, but it's also given us, and myself personally, a desire to always be soft and to be approachable. And the things that I've gone through in my life that have helped shaped me for better or worse, it definitely comes out in the music. And that is why um, I would say my mental health is the biggest driving force for this project. And that
Wow.
is why
Yes.
the name Ascension was chosen. And I know that I have this big, dark, brooding, um, sound, and it's heavy, it's drony, and it's grindy, but there's always a little bit of punctuated positivity, whether that be like in the vocals or in the lyrics, like this ominous positivity that I've said I like to incorporate because, that's me. On a daily basis, I'm intense when I'm at work. I'm bartending, I'm like shaking cocktails and, doing, working really hard.
Mhm.
Um, but I like having a little bit of those glimmers, like those silver linings, kind of, you know, throughout the tracks. And that way it gives you that kind of those little happy notes that you look for. Because even though life is like intense and um gripping, um there's like I said, that's why I chose the name Ascension. There's a trajectory of positivity within this music. And that's why I chose Ascension was to be able to rise above things,
Yes.
uh,
I
go ahead, please.
well, and I'll say, and I think one of the things, so you mentioned punctuation and how that there's this positive punctuation that occurs, these glimmers.
Yes.
And that makes me think the word that triggered in my mind. So your music is dark and intense. There's a not maybe not a glimmer in it. I would say there's a shimmer in it.
Oh,
And that's what really, so coming now to perhaps your setup a little bit, if you'd like to talk about it, I think
yeah.
that's the other thing that sets your music aside in the genre as a whole is your use and focus of analog instruments. So please,
Yeah.
you have the floor, my
Well,
my
thank
good
you.
friend.
Thank you. I knew that I wanted to do something different, and I've tried writing music on a computer, and um, it felt very dry. It felt very kind of boring to me, and the sound that I wanted to create, like I felt like there was just something missing. And I started looking around at the external hardware, at the gear, and always kind of reminiscing and, thinking about, when I saw KMFDM and, watching them like turn knobs and push buttons and stuff like that. And I loved that interactivity that, musicians have, and coming from, like playing the drums and playing guitar, I liked being able to interact with things. And so I knew that I wanted to press buttons, turn knobs, and to create this I hate to use the word synergy because it's a little carny, but I liked being able to interact with the machines. I didn't want to just have a static setup when I play live or a static setup when I write and practice. I wanted to be able to interact and engage with what I'm doing. And the main focal point of my setup is an Electron Digitact. It's a drum machine, it's a sequencer, it's a sampler.
Oh.
It it houses about 95% of the song. And so when I'm writing music, I'm hunched over here. I'm programming the drums. I'm adding different effects to the kick drum, and I'm working with the samples that I've created. And it's 8 tracks, and so that's something that I feel very um, challenged by that. I have only a limited amount of space where I can make all of these noises and whatnot, versus when you use a computer or a laptop, whatever, a laptop to write music, you can create like, oh, I want to add in another sound, and you can just add that in. But this kind of forces my creative hand a little bit. It's like, how can I use this machine maybe in different ways that I didn't think of when I write another song and another song.
That's
Um,
so cool.
Thank you. Um, the bass synthesizer is a Behringer K2. And that is just like this big kind of drony backbeat. And again, really, really big influence from Ministry and another one of my favorite bands. They're a guitar-based band called Hum. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's like Hum is one of those bands that like people kind of remember, but when you know them, you're like, oh, Hum, Hum. And so that's another big influence is to have like that big kind of like, heavy droniness, and the Behringer K2 offers that. So, the joke in my head are a lot of my songs don't go through chord progressions. It stays like a constant C all the way through, or it stays at a constant F. And that's this device, this synthesizer is the notes behind that. The last,
If I might
yeah,
ask,
yeah,
if you're a fan of or influenced by, I imagine possibly, and that's another interesting element is the so there's this shimmer, there's this very intense percussion, there is the heavy atmospheric and deliberate vocals, and then there's this the drone you talk about,
yeah.
which in terms of how you use it is more to me like the way um an artist would create a setting. So rather than it being just it's not just a key, it's this is say that we're in the key of desert,
Yeah.
we're the desert isn't what the painting's about, it's just the setting, right? So
Yeah.
same thing where I hear that, and one artist that makes me think of that too is Alan Vega from the band Suicide. Not familiar, not sure how much of a fan or familiar you are with his work.
Actually, that's one artist. I know the band Suicide, but um, I've not gotten into them. And so I'm glad that you've suggested that because this widens my scope of things to go check out now.
Yeah, he was a really into in an extreme sense, most often just absolute drone, like
Okay.
drony minimalism and hyper repetition. I think one of the interesting things about it was, again, at that time though, it was when he was really doing a lot of his solo work, it was a live band. Rick Ocasek was working with him too.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so it's like, wait, but this is a live band choosing to play one thing for 6 minutes. with minor little, and that's again back to the organic of how you're able to interact with things with the analog setup. I don't know. It made some things, some fireworks go off in my brain. So yeah.
No, I get it. And when I think about my music, um, I think about bagpipes a lot. And I know that might sound a little strange, but like when I listen to like bagpipe music and whatnot, there's like that low, like that drone all the way through. And, the melodies will, kind of, change over top of it, but you'll have like these good constant notes underneath that are underlying. And that's how like when I build my music, I think about that as literally creating these foundations of, like you said, setting the stage of like setting the presentation and the scene of where I'm at. And like, okay, I've got this big droney C, and then I'm going to add another layer on top of it. And it's, like the silt in the ocean. And then I'm going to add like the low currents in there, which would be like the bass. And then, like these like white capped noises of,
Right.
so I'm right there with you on that one. So
All right. What I'd like to do now is just transition straight into the performance aspect here. That way, you've got the window you need, and
okay,
we can have a little, hopefully, a few minutes of closing, and you
okay,
can let everyone know a little bit about maybe what's coming up for Ascension.
okay.
But without further ado, friends, let's see here. I am going to try and kill my. What could possibly be happening? We trial ran this. We even did all the pre-checks. I feel so bad for Ryan. I can't imagine what's possibly going wrong. Wait, what's that? Oh no. You're telling me the gremlins, the tech gremlins are back. No. All right, friends. Well, tech gremlins have once again invaded my crypt space and the digiwaves, so to speak. So we've decided for a backup plan, which will include videotape performances of what you were all about to witness. However, there is still more to come here with Ascension. Please let everyone know what is coming up for Ascension.
Got a few things on the horizon that I'm looking forward towards. I do have one show scheduled towards this fall. I'm working on getting more shows scheduled to where I live here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I would like to expand this solo one-man band project to incorporate some live musicians as well. And I'm definitely thinking about a little bit different instrumentation. And I I know that the guitarist is the classic route to go, but I would really like to find a cellist or a violinist. And I'm not sure necessarily how they would work into this other than let's just get together and see what happens. I know that I would like to sample those instruments, incorporate them into the electronics, but then also have them, play live and really kind of broaden that big, droniness and whatnot, and just, add those extra, notes, as you said, like those shimmeriness, to the performances. And then, like any, industrial musician, it's like, I want to find somebody that bangs on stuff. And I'd like to be able to have a person play, an anvil, bits of metal over here, and a chain link fence, and that kind of stuff, where they're able to, add in these extra percussive elements over top of, like the live, or I'm sorry, the recorded drum parts already here. And then I'm also currently in the process of writing music for my second album. I have, I think, 3 to 4 tracks right now that I'm sitting on. Some of these I do perform when I do TikTok performances. And then, I would be hoping for a winter release for a second album, probably like January, February. And then I think um, to release a couple of things, up until that point, I've done some remixes for a Chicago artist called Vanta Black, a band called Same Not Same, and a local band here in Grand Rapids called Twilight Complex. So I would like to do just a small like EP and release that of these three tracks that I've done for remixes, just to kind of keep something fresh, and that way people will have something to look forward to. And then um, lastly, I'm also sitting on about 30 songs that are all instrumentals. And so I would like to release three EPs, three albums that will all be instrumentals over the next couple of years as well. And I think that's, I know that's a lot, but it's something I can definitely handle.
That's very exciting, and I am absolutely looking forward to that. Well, my friend, unfortunately, the gremlins got the best of things, but we have our backup plan. So please, friends, make sure you stick around to the end of the show so you can catch these special performances from Ascension, as well as following all the links and goodies at the very end to find and follow Ascension and the music and good stuff to come. Ryan, thank you once again for sitting down with me, Lauren Tombstone, here on Sunglasses After Dark.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And thank you very much to all of the viewers for listening and supporting this wonderful channel.
Absolutely. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
sever the touch. I want, what I need. It's never enough. It's never enough to settle the touch. Conceal and crave what I break, what I stay. Appeal and name what I take, what I give. It's never enough. It's never enough to settle the touch. Deny temptation. Deny temptation. Deny temptation. Deny temptation to eat forbidden fruit. to the core. Rotted to the core.
Well, friends, what can I say? I do hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. It was definitely an experiment and an engineering feat of, well, how shall I say, an industrial level. Once again, I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and following this show. I would like to make a special mention that as we move on through the remainder of the year, I will be dropping more episodes as we ramp things up towards New Year's. And I have quite a roster of exciting guests lined up already, so follow me on the social medias and keep an eyeball popped, won't you? Remember, friends, life is shot in wide angle. The camera is always rolling. You are the writer, the director, the hero, heroine, villain or villainess. Whatever the story is, make it a good one. It's yours. And until next time, stay fabulous, darling.